Hi everybody, welcome to Game Plus Fest. I'm Jared. I'm the team leader for Game Plus. Today we have a celebration of game development and STEM. We've got a lot of great talks for you coming up, thanks to the Australian government and Inspire Australia for supporting this event. To begin, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land where I am today, the Ngunnawal people. I pay my respects to the elders past and present, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are attending this event. We're online today, so I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land of everyone participating in this event. Let's look at our schedule. First up, we have Kite Shield Interactive with Mooncorp Tower Defense, an overview of this upcoming game made right here in Canberra, and a deep dive into them making some levels. We have a quick look at some maker kits from Libraries ACT. You can borrow these from your local libraries. They include 3D pens and lots of cool stuff. We'll be then talking to an artist who works out of Game Plus Canberra. This is Ren, and he'll be talking to us about the technological side of art and showing some of his very innovative artworks. We'll then be talking with Sean from State of Mind Games and playing through an upcoming tabletop game of his, as well as chatting about game design as we go. We then have a great short video from Masood of SFC Films on the harmony of art and science. Finally, we've got a good little chat with Claire Harris, our friend from Innovate Communicate, a good chat there about STEM. It's a really exciting schedule, and I can't wait to chat with you all live. The talks, because of logistics, are pre-recorded, but Game Plus community managers, including myself, will be live in the chat along with the speakers during their segments. So we'll be there to answer your questions, and we'll also be giving away prizes to people who are chatting with us today. So stay tuned, and if you are also interested in joining our national network of co-working spaces in Canberra, Adelaide and Sydney, or wherever you are with our flexible membership, we'll have some special offers for you today that you'll see throughout the presentations. Thank you very much. Looking forward to chatting with you today, and thank you to everyone who made this event possible. Please enjoy Game Plus Fest Online. Thank you. We just watched the trailer for Mooncorp Tower Defense from our friends here at Kite Shield Interactive. I'm Jared, the community manager and team leader for Game Plus in Canberra. I'm here with Ash from Film Plus in Canberra, and today Ash and I are going to talk to Saxon and Blaine about Mooncorp. Hi guys.
Hi, it's good to see you.
You too. Tell us a little bit about Mooncorp Tower Defense.
So the game takes place on the moon in the not too distant future, with humanity entering an industrial space age. And in the game, you'll be operating your own tower defense company. So you'll be looking at defense contracts, investigating the origins of where the aliens have come from, and hiring and managing your office to try and get more destructive power to get rid of the alien threat.
Nice.
That sounds really good, guys. So there's a lot of tower defenses out there at the moment. What do you guys think sets Mooncorp aside from all of these other games? What makes it unique?
So we've been trying to bring in a lot of what we've learned from developing some of our RPG type games. So we've been looking at bringing in a lot of world building and more interactivity with what you would normally expect from a tower defense game. So we've brought in a lot of narrative elements. We've brought in the progressive upgrading and more fleshing out what's usually in a tower defense game. So this is your main interface for talking with all of your employees. So here we've got one of the people who works on the IT. You can go in and look at the contracts that you want to select, so the next missions that you'll be wanting to take on, and you'll also be discovering more about the story by talking to some of the people through here and hopefully discovering more.
We're all missing being in the office. This is great. There's some other, extracurricular activities you can do in the office, I think.
So some of the things we're looking at is just having a bit more office interaction. One of the things is that you can adopt an office cat, and at the moment it's sitting on the intro desk.
Oh.
So the cat will move around randomly through, between missions. So you might find it on your desk, you might find it in someone else's, you may even find it out in the workshop area. So you may need to try find where it's been sleeping. We've also got some things like a few soccer balls. We might have a few plushies as well that you'll be able to kick around the office.
Oh.
As long as you don't annoy any of your colleagues too much.
Of course.
Oh, okay. This has given me ideas for the real office.
Yeah, when we get back to Game Plus, we'll see what we can do.
Okay, all right. I love that. That looks like so much fun. I'm going to waste a lot of time in this office. I know that for sure.
So this is one of the first levels you'll be interacting with. So this is the space level in the city. So this is where you see a lot of the first contact of the aliens coming through.
Cool. So is that intro screen, does that happen for every level?
So we'll have a more detailed level. We'll have a more detailed intro for the beginning. This one brings in a lot of how you'll be using and playing the game. So it'll tell you how to go through and build the turrets. So here we've got the turrets crashing down for the level that you'll be interacting with. We can also go through and pick some of the weapons that we want that we think will be useful for this level. And then as the briefing said, we've just got some incoming aliens here. So yeah. So this is one of the many city levels that we'll have. So this is the large dome that a lot of the residents of the moon live in. So we've got one of the largest city levels here. And then we'll also be taking you to a whole bunch of different areas. So this is one of our other levels, which is the hydroponics level, where as you can see, the sprinkler system has gone into emergency mode. We've got the aliens coming through here, and to safeguard some of the food supplies, you'll need to drop in some turrets and save the hydroponics on the moon. So this is our power plant level. The aliens have come in and are affecting some of the generators that supply the power to the moon. So through here, you'll be able to drop more turrets, and there'll be some interesting side effects on this map for anything using energy, because it'll get a lot more power.
Oh, souped up energy weapons. Nice.
Is there many levels like that where you've got the environment playing into the gameplay?
Yeah, we're hoping to have a lot of the different levels enhance the gameplay in some other way, and hopefully we'll be showing off some of that in our deep dive as well, coming up next.
Very good.
Can you say how many levels you've got at the moment?
So throughout development, I think we're sitting at about 7 levels at this point, but we plan to have over 20 on release.
Wow. Okay, love it. You're getting me excited. I'm keen. I'm very keen. I'm loving that mission budget as well. Nice and high. It's good to see. If you've got something cool to show us, we'd love to see what some of these towers can do.
Yeah, so this is one of the larger levels that we've got. So in the spaceport, we've got a large alien force coming out from the right side. So we'll see if we can make a really good defensive wall across this side. And we'll customize some of these turrets with some of our more powerful weapons. So things like the Tesla cannon can hit multiple enemies at once. Other weapons like what else do we have in here? The robot swarm sends out a vicious attack of smaller nanite robots to take out enemies. We've got our favorite bullet weapon, the Gatling gun. And we've also got large destructive weapons like the rocket launcher. And then if these large weapons aren't quite powerful enough, we've then got a whole bunch of extra resources that you can use. So things like the orbital laser we can bring down.
Ooh.
Ooh, very nice.
And we can also bring in some extra help as well, such as deploying a few mechs to help out.
I love that it makes the player feel like they're doing more than just sitting there watching their turrets do the job, and that's something that I've always admired about this. I actually feel like I'm in control of what's happening, and I hadn't seen this mech feature before, but it's just added to a growing list of things I love. Those mechs especially look amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on this game. So where can people go to find out more about MoonCorp?
So you can find more about us on our website at kiteshield.net. And we'll be posting updates to there and on our social media. And we've also got the Steam page for MoonCorp Live. So yeah, that's available as well if you'd like to wishlist it. And we'd love to know what you think.
Sounds amazing, guys. That's where I'm going straight after this. For everyone else, please stay tuned. We've got a deep dive coming up next where we're going to have a look at how the team made a few of the levels and an opportunity to see the back end, something that is not to be missed for those of you who are interested. Stay tuned, everyone. Thank you so much.
So welcome everyone to the second part of the video. I'm Saxon, I'm one of the directors of KiteShield and I'll be doing the programming for this section. We're joined with Blaine Kuzner, who's our game designer.
Hi.
We've got Dan Poole, he's our composer and sound designer.
Hello, hello.
And we've got Xavier Poole, so he does our marketing.
Hello, hello.
So, we're going to jump into some game development. For MoonCorp Tower Defense, we're using Unreal Engine 4. This is the game engine we use for a lot of our different projects. And we'll be looking at adding to some more interaction to this level that we've got here, which is our air filtration level. The idea for this map is that aliens have broken into this facility and it supplies all of the oxygen for the moon colony on the moon, and it's the player's job to come in and remove all the aliens from here. We're going to add some extra functionality that the player can access. So we're thinking of having one of these fans spin up either periodically or activated by the player to then remove all of the aliens on the field. So yeah, we're going to try and get that working today.
I'm so excited to see it. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
Did we want to show them how it looks at the moment? Like,
absolutely. So we'll dive in straight into the game.
Final. Well, not fun.
So we've got the player's drone launching, and then they move into combat mode. So at the moment, we've just got pretty static level. We've got some of Dan's sound effects and music in the background, and we've got the aliens slowly advancing over here. So we'll be able to place a few of the turrets down, and they'll start engaging the aliens. So hopefully we'll see if we can make this a bit more interactive with these elements. What we've got at the moment is the mock-up level, which is being designed by Blaine. Do you want to quickly run through what's in here so far, Blaine?
Yeah, so I sort of built this level based on a similar level, the hydroponics level. So very similar layout. Aliens go right to left and have a little bit of foreground where they can move along from right to left. And then the background is where I put most of the fans. And then we've got a fan that is above where the aliens move, and that is what we're trying to add some interaction to, and plausibly suck the aliens up.
So I've got to try make that work functionally today. Dan, what kind of audio are you thinking for this?
Well, I'm thinking that they're obviously going to be rotating. So there's going to be some sort of ambient audio that I'm going to add on each fan. So like when you get closer to them, you should be able to like hear them louder, as you would in real life. But then also I want to develop like a vortex kind of where the aliens get sucked up into the fan, and maybe like a shredding sound. I don't know. Like we haven't really talked about it, so I'm really excited to try see what happens with it.
Yeah, that
So,
sounds
we'll-
good. So I
we'll
guess we'll
chat
have
about it
like
and figure it
a,
out.
I guess we'll have like a idle or like ambient state with like the fans, and then as you said, they'll get activated. We'll have like the vortex sound. All the aliens should fly up, and then a shredding sound when they get cut up by the fan. So yeah.
So I might morph like a paper shredder or something. We'll see what we can find.
And Zave, you're doing our marketing to basically like devlog some of this, maybe get some screenshots. What are you wanting from us?
Yeah, so I think once you've got the mechanic implemented, it'd be really cool to see the aliens like mid-air flying up, and I don't know if you can have some kind of particle effect of them being shredded.
Yep.
But yeah, having some kind of mid-motion screenshot would be cool, and we can post that up on Twitter.
All right, cool. Let's get started then, guys.
Yeah.
So the way that the fans and the systems have been built so far in this is just using our existing assets. So hopefully we'll be able to go through later with our artists and possibly redo some of the assets. So what we've got here is what we love to call kit bashing, which is where we get an existing kit of items which we've got in the game. So in here I can type in fan, and then we get everything in the engine that currently has fans in it. So we've got a standard ceiling fan that we've used in different areas throughout like office buildings and stuff, and then we've put two of them together and then just made it absolutely ginormous to get this effect, which
I
is
didn't
kit
even
bashing.
realize was the case until today. I was like, this looks so cool.
It does.
And I mean, if you change the color, it looks so good.
So I'll try putting, so this is like a static object, so this doesn't move, it can be placed in the level. I'll be trying to turn this into a programmed spinning object. So to do that, we'll just go into our file structure, so kite shield, and we're going to create a blueprint. So we're just going to go into our blueprints folder. In here we're going to create a new blueprint, which is an actor, so that's just any kind of object that's in a level. And we're going to call it spinning fan. So this is just an empty blueprint, there's nothing in here at the moment. I'm going to recreate that static fan, so the one that's not moving. So we'll add a mesh, static mesh, and we'll go call it fan1, and then we'll chuck in one of these fans. So we've got some with 3 blades, some with 4 blades. Let's see what Blaine's used in the level. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he's used the 4-blade one. So we'll pick one of the fans with a 4-blade. There we go. That's in. Now we'll duplicate it. Now it's automatically called itself fan2. And then we'll rotate it doop, 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 to 45 degrees. So now we've got that same fan design. And now we'll just check where this pivot is. So this is the location where the object will spin at, and it's right where it should be, which is at the top and in the center. So in here, if we get this and then we rotate it, it'll start spinning. So this is what we'll try to program into this blueprint. So in our event graph, this is the programming section of a blueprint. So we've got the physical 3D, and then we've got all of the programming that sits behind it. So we'll get a reference to each of our fans. Now, rather than doing one for each of these fans, we'll see if we can put them on one body and then spin the whole thing around. Or we might just put one on top of the other. So if I get this one at the moment, it's just one fan, so if we spin it, only one of them will move. So we'll try putting the second fan on top of the first. So now when we get the first fan, they spin together. Cool. So now we don't need fan 2, we just need fan 1. And the great thing about blueprints is that you just type in what you want. So we want rotation. Now I think we want a local rotation. And there's adds and sets. So set means make it this exact position, or add just automatically gets the current and then adds more rotation. So I think we want to add local rotation. And we want it to happen probably with a timeline, so to keep it playing continuously. So we'll type in timeline, and this basically gives us a graph where we can keep adding something. So with the rotation, we've got the X, Y, and Z coordinates. I'm just going to right click and hit split, so this gives us the roll, the pitch, and the yaw, so each of the individual components. And then in this timeline, we're going to add a track that will make it do one full rotation. So we're going to start at 0 seconds, the value of 0 for rotation, and then we want to end up, let's say, 5 seconds. We want it to have a rotation of 360, spin right around.
Yeah, I was going to ask about how quickly the fan will rotate, just so I can maybe like time the fan whooshes to it. So you reckon about seconds per full rotation?
Yeah, so we'll try go with one rotation. It's hard to say because we have to look at the scale. Yeah, we'll have to look at the scale of the level. So we'll try with 5 seconds. We'll see if it looks good, and then once it's looking good, I think you'll be able to find like the right kind of sound for it, because I don't know how fast it's going to be spinning.
Yeah, no, do it. Yeah, it's just interesting to see.
Yeah,
it's cool to see the other end of it, because I'm usually just on the once the level's pretty much done, they go, "Hey Dan, here's the level. Can you make it sound like it looks?" So this is cool to actually see things in development going from static to kinetic kind of level. Sweet.
For the rotation, we have to tell which part of it to rotate to get it to rotate correctly. And this is the hilarious part of game development, where you could go in and look at all the angles, but that's no fun. So we're just going to randomly click pitch, and then we'll see how that goes, and we'll see what spins. And we'll go play from start, and we want this to loop. So now, if we go back into our map, we've got our spinning fan blueprint. Now it's still going to be small at this stage, but we'll just test it out. And when we hit play, I'm just going to hit simulate here, and we're going to see what happens. So this is probably the wrong axis.
That's fantastic.
So the one that I actually think it is Z, or your axis. So I'm just going to change it to that. And now I think this will work. I don't know, but I think it will. There we go. So now that's spinning, but we've also got something interesting happening, which is, okay. So at the moment it's going not very fast, and then it's spinning up really fast and then slowing down and stopping again. So I've made an assumption with this timeline where this is actually adding it every second, and the amount that we're adding is actually getting more and more and more. So what this should actually be is, instead of doing one rotation and looping it, this should be how much is it rotating. So in this case we can just set the time and the value to how much do we want it to be. So this will be the speed value then. So let's try a value of 20 and a value of 20. So it'll just be constantly spinning. So add 20 to it every time instead of exponentially going from 0 to 360.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try that. That's looking alright. It's looking like it's going maybe a little fast.
It's doing that cool optical effect.
Yeah, where it scrolls it backwards.
Yeah.
Tires doing.
So in the background it'll look something like that. So maybe that's spinning. Yeah, it's spinning so fast I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, maybe it's either spinning really fast or it's like glitching.
So let's change that value to 1, because maybe 20 is just way too much. And let's try that again. There we go. So now we can actually see it spinning.
That's cool.
Cool. It seems to get a little bit slower sometimes.
Needs some oil.
It does need some oil, doesn't it? Actually, you know what? We could fix this, but let's just not. Dan, make it so when it's going slowly, it just squeaks.
Just squeak. Yeah, and
Just-
then there's an apply oil button.
See, when it does that, like, slows down. So
Yeah.
we can put in some little, like, squeaky noises and stuff. So it adds, rather than fixing it, let's just add character instead.
Yes.
So if that's going to be our slow state, I'm just going to comment all of this and say this is slow spin. So now we want it when it's going to chop up all the aliens. So in here, let's call this one fast spin. And let's change that amount. Oh, we might need a new timeline though. That's timeline 0 and timeline 1.
So, Blaine, how long did it actually take you to build the level? From kind of start to finish. I know you mentioned it was similar to the hydroponics level, but yeah, what was the...
Wouldn't have been more than a day.
Yeah, right. Cool. That's pretty quick. It's really quick. It's awesome.
So we're going to try up the speed to 7. So we've got our slow one, we've got our fast one. I'm just going to switch it to the fast one for a minute. Let's see if this looks too fast.
Maybe that could be the shredding speed.
I think so.
It does look like it has a little resistance.
Yeah,
So-
it still seems to be stopping every so often. So we might
Is
need
that
to,
when the
If-
loop restart?
yeah, we might need to, seems to get to the end of the loop and then pause for a second.
If that's when aliens are getting fucked up, that would make sense though. Like,
That's true.
they're getting jammed in.
Trying to cram pasta down the sink. Yeah.
We should probably put this into an event to see if we can get that fast speed happening when we're going to suck up some aliens.
I might have added a trigger box.
Yes, so this should be this highlighted box in gold that I've got here. So if I just click on that again, and this one is called Trigger Volume. So in our level blueprint, so this is a slightly different one, we can call what's in the level. So we can call this Trigger Volume, and we should be able to make it activate when some aliens come past. So we might see if we can add that trigger volume into our spinning fan. So in here, let's see if we can add another component. So we'll want, if it's not a trigger, it might be a collision. Here we go. So let's try using a capsule collision, because that is around like the fan. And then we'll change some of its height. Oop, that might be a bit too big. So that's 6,000. Let's try 2,000. And maybe 150 width. That'll definitely hit everything in the level. Let's try 1,000. There we go. So let's go with that, and we should probably start putting these in the level so we can see how they're all affecting everything. So we've got some grouped objects up here, and the same in the background. I'm going to need to get them all spinning.
Yeah.
So these are these assets. We'll have to go and put these back in. So we're just going to go remove. Actually, let's line them up first. That'll make it even easier. So let's put spinning fan in here. Rotate it to the right angle. Let's make it
Size,
the
I
right
think
size.
10.
10?
Think so.
Oh, look at that. Perfect. And then we can just...
Could probably even ungroup it and grab the legit numbers. That works.
This should be good. Now we'll just remove that one. Oh. It's gone a bit thinner. Why has that happened? Oh no, that's because I
It's
put it
inside it a bit.
halfway through. There we go. So now, when we play the game, ay, it spins.
Yay!
It's National Science Week and we thought this would be a great time to introduce these awesome new Maker Kits. They're a great opportunity to bring science home with you and learn by doing and having fun.
Hi everyone, this is Jared from Game Plus. I'm the team leader for Game Plus nationally and the community manager here in Canberra. Thanks for coming to Game Plus Fest online with us this year. Game Plus is a network of co-working spaces for game developers, but we also have a lot of games adjacent and tech and digital specialists. And today I'm excited to be talking with Ren Grigorchik, one of our Game Plus members in Canberra who works in a very interesting intersection between art and technology. Hi, Ren. How are you?
Hi. Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thanks for speaking with us. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I've got kind of a non-traditional kind of walked on a different path than some others. I did my undergraduate back in 2009 in sculpture. And then I ended up doing a Master's of Cultural Materials Conservation. So that's art restoration. And then have been working as a curator pretty much my entire professional career. So I'm kind of an artist and an art restorer, and from the art restoration comes a lot of science, a lot of my science background. And I'm also doing a PhD in my art practice. So been working in the arts field for a very long time, and it's a really interesting time to be making art, particularly now during COVID, because lots of new opportunities related to tech have kind of emerged that weren't kind of previously available. So it's a great time to be making work in a digital age.
And you have, you have a really interesting way of combining tech and art yourself. So we have a bit of a visual here, a bit of video of some artwork you've done using photogrammetry.
Yes, this is my work I completed 2020. So it's called At the Point of a Singular Horizon. It was a work that evolved quite organically just from my surroundings. So this image that you're seeing here is a conversion of a physical garden plot that's about 1 meter by 1 meter, which is actually in the courtyard of Game Plus.
Yeah, that's just on the front. and again, during 2020, during COVID. So there you go.
Yeah, it's all coming together. Yeah, so it's a conversion of that garden plot from a physical object to 3D geometry. And then they're using Blender in particular. I've just recorded different views of the 3D output, which is quite it's not quite glitch art. It's not really intended to be glitch. The process that that produced this is called photogrammetry. Photogrammetry is actually a really interesting process because photogrammetry, as we would describe it now, is the process of using photographs. So you have a reference object and you walk around it 360 and you take photographs from every angle, and then you feed it into a program such as Meshroom, which is an open source program for creating photogrammetric objects. And then you create your 3D geometry and then you can edit it. So it's a really interesting way to bring the real world into digital space.
So you've taken photos of this real world place, but then using Blender, which is a modeling, a game design tool as well, you can then change that environment, but placing those real photos on it.
Yeah. So it's this one in particular was using Meshroom, which is the actual conversion of the photographs to geometry, and then used Blender to run the light simulation, which you can kind of see some shadows kind of floating across, and also do a lot of the cinematography. So that's kind of, I guess, where a lot of tools such as Blender and Houdini, they offer just such limitless possibilities for art making. And that kind of like pushing of that technology also feeds back into the industry, because you're kind of like pushing the way that a standard process can be used, giving it a bit of a tweak, and then that can also just help game designers in particular, or anyone working in the cinema industry, maybe a different perspective of what can be done with technology if it's used in maybe a slightly more traditional way.
Yeah, when we first met, I found it really fascinating what you were doing, because it is those some of those traditional tools, or well, not traditional but digital tools and technology, but yeah, used in a really, really fascinating way. And we've just seen photos brought into a digital realm, but you've also got a very interesting Cinderblock artwork. Maybe I can ask you to explain this one as I bring up some visuals for it.
Yeah, so I'm also currently doing my PhD at the ANU. So my PhD is in my art practice, and I am particularly interested in the way that industrial objects, specifically concrete, is used as a way to kind of order society. It's kind of this thing. This is like really fundamental material to order the world, and blocks, in particular cinder blocks or concrete blocks, are a key method that kind of pretty much every structure in the world kind of built kind of in the contemporary era makes use of different configurations, but the standard recipes kind of tend to stay the same. So they're kind of this ubiquitous object. They're everywhere, but because they're so ubiquitous, so because they're just everywhere, we don't kind of tend to think about objects of this nature in terms of where they've come from, how they've come to us, what the implications are of their creation, or even where they've come from.
They're just there as literally a building block of the world. You don't really, like bricks in the wall, you don't really think about them as part of that and their origins. Okay.
Yeah. When a thing becomes a standard, it kind of becomes invisibilized, because otherwise, it's, if you kind of think about it, like if you are sitting on a chair, your body doesn't register every point that's touching the chair, because that would overload your senses. So the brain kind of does a similar thing in the world, where if there's something that's repeated and is in mass, it just kind of tends to collapse into something that's a bit more simple.
Okay, cool.
But the concrete block is an interesting object because it has this property of both being really fundamental, but there's no maker's mark. It's almost impossible in some ways to know exactly where the material components come from, how it's gotten to you, and the processes and the decisions behind who made a cinder block. Because obviously someone's designed it. They're there are international standards that regulate concrete blocks. So they're a very, very regulated object, but we kind of see them as being really almost natural.
And this one here is blue.
So this, we kind of saw previously that the garden plot was converted from a physical object to a 3D geometry using photogrammetry. This is the same process. This is using a process called photogrammetry, a process of taking photos of an object and then using those photos to generate 3D geometry to produce a replica of a cinder block. So it's made out of PLA, which is a type of plastic, and it's been 3D printed with a specialist printer in Melbourne. It kind of, I guess, from a first glance, it does look like all of the others. It has all of the same textures and dimensions. It's a one-to-one replica as all the other cinder blocks. But this particular artwork, which is called North of a Solid Ground, was trying to use photogrammetry to explore not just the physical structure that we can't see, but all of those, as I said before, we don't know where the materials come from. We don't know the people who make the decisions about these materials. There's all these kind of hidden layers that the end point is a cinder block, but it's very hard to see everything before that. So I was doing some research just on concrete and happened to come across a really interesting project that was run by NASA, which used, I think it was about 40 years worth of data collected from sun flares. So that they recorded kind of like sun flares and used the sun flare data, converted that into sound, and they've used that sound as a diagnostic tool to try and understand the composition of the sun, because obviously you can't see inside the sun. It's too hot. No instruments can go inside. So it's an interesting way of kind of approaching, well, if something is, if there's a system or a thing behind what you can see, how do you get there? How do you actually get into mess with it or play with it or understand it better, so you can understand something about its not just material properties, its philosophical properties. And so that's what I tried to do here.
It's very interesting, and you having this one-to-one 3D printed object, like we were holding this in your office back when we were in person and just feeling the difference of the weight, but it looks exactly the same. And you have some other outputs of the cinder block as well.
Yeah, so the 3D printing is really about trying to understand the physical structure, but photogrammetry is really amazing because it produces data of an object. And from, as we kind of know, anytime that you have raw data of any kind, it's very easy to convert into different formats. So in the Sounds of the Sun project, they used kind of sun flare data and converted that into sound as a diagnostic tool. And I've actually done a similar process where I have used the data from the 3D object, which you can actually see on the left there. That's a printout of what's called a vocabulary tree, which expresses information about the object itself, and then created a sound work from that data. So that the sound work kind of gives you a sensorial experience of something that you can't, a sensorial experience of the physical geometry of the object that you can't access in any other way. And photogrammetry is really interesting because it produces all these amazing outputs. And as I said, one of the amazing outputs is this data, the vocabulary tree, which expresses the object. And it produces a very triangular kind of format. And then through drawing, I've just drawn over numbers, the numbers in the vocabulary tree. So the vocabulary tree is a very complex thing, a bit too complex to describe just here. But essentially, it's just a series of numbers that express the object.
These triangular shapes, that's just how it came out, and there's sort of some more sparse areas and some dense areas. Why is the explanation? What's the explanation for that?
The interesting thing is a cinder block isn't a completely, it has hollows, has two areas of hollow. And a vocabulary tree really expresses the location of the physical object in comparison to kind of like other points in space. And because there are hollows, there's obviously some places that are void. So this vocabulary tree, you can see, has a really kind of like an angular pattern because there are some, there's two voids. So essentially there are some gaps in the object, which this vocabulary tree is expressing by kind of creating lines that have gaps in between number sequences. So it's an incredible thing to work with. And the blue structure that you can kind of see is me overdrawing a secondary human structure onto the expression of the cinder block. And together they do kind of point to some kind of combination of the hand and the machine and the industrial in a way that I think really kind of actually does encapsulate what's kind of going on now, really.
And being able to have this object, I find it fascinating what you do, having this object of a cinder block that we don't normally think about, but then having the 3D printed version of it and holding that, and just even that makes you think about it a bit differently. But seeing this photogrammetry and the way that its output, the way that this output has got those hollows in it to reflect those hollows is very fascinating to me. And then you have actually also the on your website, you have on your SoundCloud the sound of that has been produced by it as well, which is really interesting to hear and sort of experience an object in more than 3 dimensions in a way.
Yeah, and that's kind of the idea. So recently I converted a fire hydrant into also a 45-minute sound sound work, because it's a fire hydrant's a very sophisticated object. So you have so many bumps, but also a street lamp. Lots of urban objects at the moment I'm working with. The idea is to create this ultra sensory experience of a familiar object, and kind of a lot of the philosophical component of that is based on a wonderful book called Dark Ecology by Timothy Morton, which kind of uses this language of what's called a hyper object. So a hyper object is not necessarily a physical object, but any object that is so massive in space and time that it can have a real influence on the way the world operates. And he uses this really great example of a styrofoam cup. So imagine every styrofoam cup that you've used, that object is still in existence. And then imagine every person who's ever used a styrofoam cup, those styrofoam cups are still in existence. And together they create this mass of what is the hyper object of styrofoam cups that can have a massive impact as a collective. And if you do, go onto my website and hear the cinder block audio, imagine if every cinder block in the world made that sound. Imagine the effect that would have. And cinder blocks don't necessarily make that kind of audio impact all the time, but as a material, they're very labor intensive. There's lots that go into them. They're an internationally distributed object, so they have a big impact. They have this big footprint. And so if you kind of start to think about the sound makes tangible the impact of
Yes.
the existence.
That's a great way of putting it. It definitely has made me think a lot more about the cinder blocks and like I said, the impact and where they come from, how they're made, how many there just are in the world, and a lot of them are
Millions.
inside structures as well, so you don't even see them. And then thinking about something that you don't even see having such a huge impact on the world. That image of the of the styrofoam of every styrofoam cup is pretty daunting. So yeah, recognizing the impact of those is a great, an important thing for us to do, I think, as humans. And your artwork is a really interesting and provocative, thought-provoking way to bring it forward.
Yeah, it's thanks. It's a really fascinating research project, which I'm hoping to complete in a couple of years. But it is, I think, particularly even in COVID times, concrete. I think there was only a slight dip in the amount of concrete that was actually used in the world, even during 2020. It's the industry is worth billions upon billions of dollars. But the footprint of concrete is something that's just totally unsustainable. But with technology, we can have what I really love about the kind of technology and the way it's developing and the way that people are using it. There's not so much this kind of like divide. I think people have kind of got over Y2K in many ways.
Finally.
It took a really long time.
Eventually, yeah.
But there's not so much like this dystopian kind of like overlay of art and technology. There's actually this what I'm really loving now is kind of this ability for people to kind of see technology and the integration of technology as a knowledge system and a way to look at things, not just produce things, but as a way of looking and sensing. Within COVID, I think it's really it's going to be exciting. I think the next kind of 5 to 10 years, because I think everyone's innovating, everyone's sharing in a way, and everything's accessible. So it's a great time to get involved, I think. But if you do have any questions about my practice, feel free to drop me a line. Otherwise, there'll be hopefully some stuff happening kind of around Game Plus and Canberra Technology Park, kind of fingers crossed later in the year. So just keep an eye on my website and social media for any updates.
Yeah, excellent. And if there are any collabs we're doing like that, anything around Game Plus and the Canberra Tech Park, then that'll be definitely on our social media for Game Plus as well. All right. Thank you very much for your time, Bren. It's been great speaking with you.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Game Plus is Australia's largest not-for-profit co-working space for game developers, funded by AIE, and basically its goal is to grow and support the ecosystem. So it focuses on the members that we've got here, but also more broadly, our goal is to help everyone who's working on games. As a co-working space, Game Plus offers everything that you would expect from that. So we've got desks that people are able to set up at permanently and studio spaces. We've got boardrooms, meeting rooms that you can book. We've got, kitchen facilities. We've got all of that. But beyond the brick and mortar of the space, the real benefits that people get out of it is the connections that they're making with other game developers and everything that comes from that.
The great thing about Game Plus is because you can go as a solo indie developer at a hot desk to a studio of 3 to 4 people, all the way up to the 70 people that we have at the Mighty Kingdom premises. It means that there are games that are made at all kinds of different scales. And it's a not-for-profit, so the desk costs here are quite low.
All the studios that are working here are competing on an international stage, working to target international markets. So there isn't an atmosphere of competition at all. It's all collaborative, helping each other out, sharing information, and trying to raise the entire Australian video games industry.
We've been really happy at Games Plus. You know, we've been here since we were a team of about 5 and now we're a team of about 20. And Games Plus has really helped us facilitate that growth from an infrastructure point of view. We haven't had any issues scaling. Game Plus have made things as seamless and easy for us as possible.
It's just been so great being in a communal space where you can just swivel around on your chair behind and ask someone else that's here for help or for different opinions. Everyone's really friendly here. And you meet people of all sorts of disciplines. Because of that, the pathways here, there's all these studios looking for people to take in and all this work going around. It's just a great place to be for someone that's looking to immerse themselves in the game dev industry here.
I probably wouldn't have succeeded at my own business if I hadn't had a space like this, and this has been amazing. I can go and talk to people that I trust and find out who they trust to kind of get a nice big network going. So whenever I've made hires, I haven't actually put a shout out. I've been approaching people directly to talk to them about what they can do for the project, which is really great.
Game Plus is absolutely a welcoming community. We're really keen to keep having people come through the doors and support them. So I would encourage people, no matter where they're at in their stage of development, whether they're an indie developer just starting off or whether they've got a successful studio that they're operating, to absolutely touch base with us across our different states and let us see how we can support you and support the community.
Hi everyone, this is Jared from Game Plus, and I'm here with one of our members, Sean Fenimore, who will be playing one of his games in development. Sean, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about this game?
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Sean from State of Mind Games here in Canberra. This is a little 2-player light strategy game I've been working on for, I think I started around November 2019 for an 18-card contest. And I've now expanded it. It's 45 cards and a couple of tokens. It's about the effect of feral animals on native wildlife in Australia. And that's, I suppose, an overview. We both play as researchers surveying an area over 3 years. So we come in, some animals are visible to us, some aren't. And we just start moving around and collecting the animals, trying to make some sets to get points, and then at the end of the round we score it up, we reveal the cards that are in that area, the native animals start having a bit of a meal, the feral animals start having a bit of a meal, and then we go away, new animals will move in from the draw deck over here on the left, so we shuffle them up, redeal, we come back to the area the next year and we start having a look to see what animals have moved in and what's there now. And it's played across 3 rounds. It's around about 20 minutes to half an hour, depending if you've played the game before. It's obviously longer online because, you know, just moving cards around and dealing is a lot slower. But yeah, that's the core of the game.
Cool. All right. So if you want to start, I suppose, and sort of we'll talk about it and explain it. I've played this a previous version, but haven't played for a little while, so sort of rules reminders as we go. If you want to show us how to play, or any rules we need to know in advance, then we can get going.
Cool. Well, at the start, we both draw a face-down card into our hand. That seeds our hand, gives us something we can start working for that's secret. The way it works is I can pick any face-down card. I'll go as first player, as Jared suggested. Jared takes any face-down card, and then that works out where we start. So these icons sort of represent where we're going.
Okay, so I'll take this one.
Jared takes that one. I'll put these here. So these form the intersection. So on our turn, we can move either one of these tokens, and then we can get the card from the intersection. And we can't intentionally move to an empty spot. If the card is face down, we put it into our hand because we're the only ones that know what we captured. If it's face up, we'll just put it over to the side, and that becomes a bit of open information that your opponent can see, so they can start trying to manipulate where you go potentially. So starting here, if I move the red icon, I can get the Plains Wanderer, the fox, the mystery animal, or the lyrebird, or I could move the blue icon token and get a kangaroo, Plains Wanderer, or echidna. Now, on the cards, if Jared wants to hover over one and hit spacebar, the icon for the animal is on the top left, and the icon on the top right is how many of this animal is in the game.
So we've got two Plains Wanderers in the game.
Yep. And then we've got the points. So if we get one of each kind of bird, and we play it as a set, it's worth 18 points. If we play one Plains Wanderer, it's worth 3. If we play both, it's worth 8. Now the thing with the sets is there's a little bit of a timing thing, because once you play a set, you can't manipulate it. You can't add to it. So if you played one Plains Wanderer and then got the second one, you can't put it down and have 2 Plains Wanderers.
So a set could be as small as a single card, but you just can't add to it afterwards.
Yeah, and you can't put the Plains Wanderer down and then go, oh, I just got the eagle and the lyrebird and the parrot, I'm going to make a bird set. The Plains Wanderer is its own set and it's locked in. And you can't have multiple sets of the same kind of thing. So if I had one Plains Wanderer and got the second, I can't play another set of one Plains Wanderer.
Okay, yeah.
If you play a set of, say, 2 kangaroos, and then you get the other 3 or another 2, you can't play another set of kangaroos. The only time you can play another kangaroo is in a mammal set. So it just stops you hoarding. Now some of the animals will let you play one of them, some don't. Some will let you play one for 0 points because you want to get it out of your hand, all that sort of stuff. And the snakes have a special ability. If you've got them, you can play them as a blocker, which means at the very end of your turn, you can play it on any of these things down the side next to the icon. So if I put a snake here next to the blue one, then on your turn, Jared, you wouldn't be able to move that blue icon because it's like, no, there's a snake there, I'm just going to stay away and leave it alone. So I can restrict you to only moving the red piece in this
which
row.
limits my selections. Okay.
Yep. And then at the end of your turn, the snake will crawl back into the bush.
Okay, into whatever blank space was left there.
Yep. Okay. Now, if you can only have 5 cards in your hand total. If you have 5 already, and you pick up 1, you get 6. You have to discard a native animal back into the empty spot, and it can't be the one you just picked up.
Okay.
And if that happens, then the snake obviously can't go there, so it just crawls to the nearest empty space.
Okay.
But you can risk playing snakes as a set if you hold them long enough. They are worth points, but if the round ends when the snake is in your hand, you lose points.
So you need at least 2. But same as the other animals, if I got 2 and then I played them already, I couldn't play a third one later on. So I'd have to make sure I get rid of it onto the board before I finish the round and lose 2 points.
But but strategically, it might be worth you ending the round and losing 2 points just to stop me having another turn and possibly going out. So
possibly finishing a set.
yeah, a bigger point set. So for my turn, I will take this Plains Wanderer, and because it's face up, I just leave it face up on the table so you know what I'm going for.
Okay,
or what I'm bluffing for.
Yep. And so having a look, like we did before at the Plains Wanderer, you can see one's worth 3, 2 are worth 8. There's some lyrebirds around as well, so they could be worth something together. So if I leave this Plains Wanderer around, then Sean could pick that up. But the way this game works, right, I can move the red icon or the blue icon. So right now I can't get this Plains Wanderer that's on the table, is that right?
That's right, yep.
Because
and
you've just moved the red one, so can I move the red one again? Or
yeah, you can move the red one.
Mm-hmm. But if I moved
move
it back,
either one,
it would be to an empty space, so I can't move to an empty space.
No.
Okay.
And like if I'm going for a bird set, there's 4 birds I have to collect, and we can see 3 of them, I think. Oh no, that's another lyrebird. Sorry, it was under my hand. I thought it was a different one. So there's 2 Plains Wanderers and 3 lyrebirds. So, you know, if I'm going for a bird set, I'm hoping that one of the face or 2 of the face down cards are the missing birds.
Okay, well, for my turn, yeah, if I wanted anything on this top row, the way I would need to move, as an example, I'd need to move the blue piece up here, but then the red piece would mean I would be getting this card.
Yep.
Yeah, which...
But that will go into your hand, so that will be secret. I won't know what you've got.
Let's try that and see what happens. Okay.
The viewers will know, so if anyone wants to text me
Luckily this isn't live. Alright, cool. So the goes are pretty simple that way.
Yeah, so now if you've got a set and you want to play it, you can play your set, and then it's the end of the... Or if you've got a snake and you want to put it down to block me from moving a piece, you could play that, and then it's the end of your turn.
Okay, I won't do either of those things. And you have to move one of the pieces, don't you?
Yeah, you must move one of the pieces.
Okay.
Damn. Okay.
What do I
Your
want to
turn.
do now? Hand limit is 5, you said?
5, yeah, and that includes the face-up cards on the table and the ones in your hand.
Okay.
So currently I've got 3, you've got 2. Because I've got 2 in my hand.
Yep. Okay. I grab this Plains Wanderer. Seeing as it's up, face up, I just put it down here.
Yep.
And now if I wanted to play it into a set now, then I could do that.
Yep, you can. You can just move it up if you want.
And the round ends when we have, between you and me, we have 10 cards in sets?
That's right, yep.
Okay.
Arbitrary number, but balance-wise, 12 is a bit tenser, but you end up having to discard cards, and people don't like that. So,
and these are the kind of decisions that you've come up through playtesting, I guess.
Yeah. So, and I get a mix. Like some people, when you're playing and you've got to have more cards in a set to end the round, you end up being forced to move into an empty spot. Like no matter what card you move, it's going to be an empty spot, so you have to discard. Just because there's so few cards left there. And some people really like that because you're manipulating the other player into trying to discard cards to set you up to get another card to get your set. But the general player doesn't like losing cards. They don't like having to get rid of them. So we went down to 10, and it's minimized how many times you're forced to discard. Normally you're forced to discard because you've just collected too many rather than you were forced to go into an empty spot.
Okay,
So from a player perspective, and this is sort of aiming for a more general market. Oops. No, it goes over there. Just because it's slightly educational, so I'm going to play that as a set because I have 2 of them.
Oh, you had one in your hand. Okay.
Yep.
That's
So
worth
the
3.
Cane Toad's ability,
1.
if I didn't play these as a set and they were still in my hand at the end of the round, they just escape back into the wild.
Hmm.
But what happens is there's mutually assured destruction. So if there's any snakes in here, they'll eat the Cane Toad, and obviously the Cane Toad dies, but then the toxin will kill the snake. So both of those animals will die and be out of the game.
Okay, so if you had both of those at the end of the round, both would have gone back on. This snake and one of the Cane Toads would have been eradicated each other, and there'd be one Cane Toad that would stay on the research area.
Yep. If there were no other snakes in these face-down cards.
Oh, okay, we flip them all over at the end. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so like we go away and all the animals come out and party and eat each other.
Are we on to my turn then?
Yep, your turn.
Okay. I think I'm getting up to my hand limit. Let's see what I've got. Okay.
I think you're on 5 cards now.
Yeah, so that means that I need to play something now or not?
No, you can sit on 5 cards, but next turn you're going to have to do something.
And so if I draw up a card that I like, I can put another card back down onto the board?
Yep, it has to be a native animal because as a researcher you're not going to release feral animals back out there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if for some reason you've got a hand of feral animals and you've got no choice, then you put it out there and you immediately lose, I think it was 2 points. It's never actually happened.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well,
So-
I'll stick with what I've got for now.
Either the educational thing is working or whatever, but people are averse to putting out feral animals. I'm going to play a bird set because I have 4.
Oh, wow.
So I've got 1 of each bird, so that's worth 18 points.
Just checking out all the birds. Cool, alright. So, and you've played 4, 5, 6 cards, so only 4 more can be played this round. Alright, so I better get a move on.
I think I have the advantage. I've played more, and I'm distracting you by talking.
No, that's alright. I'm
But I'll still take the win for this round if I get it.
That's right. Alright. But that's really interesting because, you know, if I'm building towards a set, then I might not really want to build to, you know, you can build slowly, and if you get there, like you've done, that's great. But if you don't get there at all, then you might have no points or few points by the time you actually.
Yeah, and if you hover over the wedge-tailed eagle, there's only 1 of them. So it's like you can't get a bird set now.
Yes.
So if you want to get the Planeswanderer out of your hand, you have to play a Planeswanderer set.
Yeah.
Luckily, you can play 1.
Yes.
So.
All right. I think well, I can either, at this point, I can either move this red one along and pick up the snake, or I can move this one up and pick up something in this row.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to take a risk and see what this is. Okay. And I think I will... How many is Planeswanderer left? Just 3. Well, I need to play something, so I will... Or I could discard back down, couldn't I?
Yep.
Alright, I'm going to release a Lyrebird. Do I put it where I just picked up from?
Yep, where you just picked up from.
Okay.
Okay, so now you know I can't get that Lyrebird.
Hmm.
Because I've got to move a piece.
Yes.
And what that sort of shows to me is that you were going for a bird set, and you're not now. But I don't know why you kept the Planeswanderer. I will take that one.
Oops, moving the table there. Okay. I think... How many points are you on? 18 plus the cane toads was 1. 19?
If you hover over it, it'll show you if
Yep.
you hit spacebar. Yeah, 1 point.
Okay. I will play this as a set of 1 for 3 points.
Cool. See, devil's looking tempting, but I have this lyrebird. So there's 7 cards played, so this would take us to 9 if I played as a set.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to because you can get 5 points for 3 lyrebirds. So I'll tell you my strategy. I'm going to try and get the third one because I know it's here. It's minimal risk to me.
Rather
at the
than
moment.
trying to find it in the face-down cards.
Yeah, and it potentially may not even be there. It may be over in the deck over here.
Yeah, that's
on
true.
the left.
Okay, cool. I'm going to grab this echidna and play my 2 echidnas.
Ooh.
For 9... No, oh, 4 points, okay. Should have read that more closely, but that's good.
Oh, you can hold it back if you want. I don't mind.
No, that's alright. We'll go there.
I
How
mean,
many how many cards does that make? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That's
So
9.
only 1 more card can be played.
Yep. Oh, no, we can play more than 1. It's minimum of 10.
Minimum of 10, okay.
Yep. Please be something good. Okay, well, I'm going to play, obviously, my 2 lyrebirds to end the round, because I don't want you catching up to me. So that ends the round immediately.
Yep.
So what we do is we score up. So I've got 2 points for the 2 lyrebirds, 18 for the setter birds, and 2 for the toads. That gives me 22. And you've got 4.
Yep, 4 for the echidnas and 3 for the plains wanderer, so 7.
Yep. So 6. Okay, so what we do, all the animals we've played as sets are safe from being eaten, except for these cane toads, which, if you don't mind, I'll just hide up here. So they're out of the game now.
Okay.
Okay. And then all the cards in our hands, we just chuck back on the table. This is not looking good. And then we reveal all the other things. And now we start seeing what happens. So the fox will eat a monotreme.
Okay, so we do have a platypus.
We'll say that fox kills the platypus. Bye-bye, platypus.
Okay, so it goes up here?
Yep, it's been munched on.
Oh, that's just
if there's no monotremes, the fox will eat a rabbit.
Okay.
So we'll just chuck that up there. There's no cane toads, so the snake's safe. And there's no cats, so the birds are safe. Rabbits will breed like rabbits. So for every rabbit that's left in the game area, we add 1 more. We always start with the dead ones.
Oh yeah, so you don't have to go through the deck.
Yeah, but we still have to go through the deck because I've got this other one here. I started off with just black and white, just icons, printed on A4 paper, cut up, chuck it in the card sleeve with an old magic card or playing card on the back of it. Let's see if I can get this to flip. Just to provide some rigidity for shuffling.
Yeah.
And then, we'd have a game and things would work, or if they didn't work, I'd just get out the pen, scribble things out, change the numbers, oh, that set was really hard to get, it should be worth more points. And it's like, okay, let's bump it up, let's have another game. And when the card's unreadable, you just chuck it out and put a new one in. and then once it starts to play better and is a little bit more enjoyable, because well, you would know, Jared, play testing can expose you to some horrible games, and you want to reward your play testers, or at least be nice to them. But once it's balanced and it's fairly set, you pick first this time, Jared. Just any face down card.
Oh, face down card. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Grab this one.
Yeah, you can then go for a nicer looking card, so that you can start trying to get some playtesters that aren't your friends and family. And a lot of people don't. They expect a game to be really nice and professional looking sort of thing. They don't understand the concept of prototypes keeping them ugly.
Yeah, because you're constantly like iterating, and if you spend heaps of time on the art, that card might never make it into the final game.
Yeah. The longer you spend making a game look really nice, the more you will fight to keep something in the game.
Yeah.
Because sunk cost fallacy is a really big thing. Your turn.
Okay, cool. So I move one of them, and then you move the other one and pick up that card?
You move one and pick up the card, and then so we're in the normal game now.
Oh, right. So if I was... Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, sunk cost fallacy. So you're not going to get your game right first time. If you did, there's probably something wrong that you can't see. And you want to fail fast, I guess. Fail fast, fail often. The quicker you can get something to test, the quicker you'll find the things that need to be fixed. And you can't do that quickly if you're spending lots of time making it look pretty.
And there's a place for that later.
Yeah, and some people will start buying art packs. Like I just bought these. I think I spent like $5 on a pack of animal pictures, and then there was some that were free. The icons I got from GameIcons.net, so they're all free.
Okay, cool.
Which sort of restricted in the animals I went for, because I had to try and find things that looked like the icons. That wasn't very nice, Jared.
Sorry. I mean, that was definitely my intention.
So yeah, just keep it ugly. And then when you're ready to start going to conventions to playtest, then start trying to make it look nice.
To attract more people. And we've also talked about, we've also mentioned theme. Like, it can be easier to teach the mechanics once the theme is there. So rather than if this was, squares cancel out triangles, having feral animals and native animals, that sort of is easier to remember those rules sometimes.
Yeah, and I think this is about the second game where I've tried to design from a theme. I had the mechanic, but I tried to put a theme on it that made sense. The feral animals only came in on the expanded version, and same with the birds. Before it was just mammals, monotremes, and snakes in the 18-card version. Okay, so you're going for the bird set, so I don't want to give you the eagle.
Yeah, I thought that might reveal what I was doing, but otherwise I would have had to pick up that fox, which I don't particularly want.
Well, you can always play a feral animal set.
Yeah, I mean, there are a fair few on the board.
I'm going to play my 2 lyrebirds.
Okay, cool.
Pretty sure I can play 2. Yep. Yeah, so the theme, once I put the feral animals in, and then I added birds to have a bit more balance, it made the theme a little bit tighter.
Oh, I think I've
so whereas before you were just collecting, before you were just collecting the animals, and it was sort of vaguely thematic, but now there's risk. Like the risk before was if you got caught with a snake, but now the risk is that the feral animals will kill the native animals, and even though it doesn't really affect you, so the easiest way people are attached to that. They don't want the native animals to die. So some players will try and get all the feral animals out. Others will play purely for points. And then at the end of the round, they see all the animals that start dying. And it's a thematic lesson, but it doesn't stop the game.
Yeah.
Did I move? I did. I took that.
I just finished my turn. Oh, did you?
Oh, did you just...
I put that kangaroo back down because I accidentally drew
okay.
too many cards. I keep forgetting these ones down here are part of my hand.
Yep. I want the platypus or the other echidna. How many platypus are in the game, actually? Am I wasting my time?
So there's 2, right? So there's one's gone, so there could be another one. All right, my turn?
I know 2 new cards came in, so...
All right, so I am going to get this eagle and play my full set.
Curse that bird set.
Yeah, it's strong.
Oh, it's that eagle. Like, you've got a 1 in 45 chance of getting it out of the whole deck.
Well, I got one of them in my hand to start with, so it's like, okay, well, let's try. But yeah, trying to get there is quite tricky. Especially, I didn't think I was going to once I revealed that that's what I'm trying. So, but
yeah,
it's limiting on both sides.
I didn't have a lot of choice up the top here.
That's why I ended up doing it too, and then it sort of showed what I wanted. But it does, I mean, that sort of thing of limiting choice in a fun way, like having to make those tough decisions, those interesting decisions in game development as well.
Oh, I'm going to play my 2 echidnas.
Oh, nice.
Well, if I didn't, the fox would eat them. So,
so we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 played so far. Okay.
And while we're playing, I am actually writing down the order that we're playing our sets and the point value just so I can add it to my record so that I can work out if scoring needs tweaking.
So even this is playtesting as well.
Yeah. So even if if my stats reveal that everyone is always playing bird sets every single game, then I know that maybe they're too strong. Whereas at the moment, I know we're playing it because it came out, the entire set was available in the first round, so we know it's available in the second round. Of course, nothing was dead. There's nothing up the top here.
I think to finish off that, my go just now, just a quick question again. So birds I've played in that set. I can still play an individual bird as its own set?
Yes, you can.
All right, let's do that.
And that's the 10 cards, I think, is it? 9.
9, okay.
Damn. The orange-bellied parrot.
Yeah, I had that in my hand to start with, but then I picked up the other one just in case I couldn't get the full bird set. I could still get 8 points from the orange-bellied parrot.
3 points. Yeah, the birds are worth a little bit more because as soon as a cat comes out, a cat kills 2 birds if they're left in the wild. So
if it killed the hawk, that set would just not be available. If that happened in round 1, it wouldn't matter how many other cards out. You wouldn't be able to get the whole set.
I had a game where all the platypus and 1 echidna was killed by the end of the second round. So in the third round, there was 1 echidna on the board, and we were both trying to avoid it and make the other person have to pick it up because once it was in their hand, they couldn't play it.
Right, because
you
need
can't
2
play
echidnas.
a single echidna.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So depending on how the game plays out, that changes the value of the cards for that playthrough as well.
I'm going to go for... Whoops, I'm going to move the table because I aim badly. I go... not that. I know, you know what I've got. That one.
With so long left in the game too.
That's what I've got, 4 cards. I'll play the point because I've got a feeling you're going to end the round anyway, so I will end it.
Okay, yeah.
Sure
I would
play
have
a Planeswanderer.
played just 1 card, I think, just to end it probably. Okay, cool. So that's the end of round 2.
So yeah, that's
fun.
Wild, wonderful, and weird.
It was all of those things and good. All right, great.
Well, thank you very much for the game.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for playing. If people want to find out more of your stuff or see any games you've made, where can they find you online?
I have a Facebook page for State of Mind Games, which I seldom post to. I'm really bad at self-promotion, like a lot of people in games. But you can message me there. I post in CanDev for people that want to join CanDev Discord server.
Yeah, for any sort of aspiring or involved game developers out there, Canberra.games is the local game development community Discord server where you'll find Sean and a bunch of other game developers.
Yeah, or I'm also in the Game Plus Discord. I've got an online membership. I don't have a desk in Game Plus, so I just pay the online membership, so I get access to the Discord, so that people Games Plus all around Australia can give feedback on the games and potentially play test for me, and I can return the favor.
That lets you sort of like connect with artists as well. I think you've been working with one of the other members for Art for Future.
Yeah, you can't see it from here, but on the front page of Tabletopia, there's 3 images that one of the artists in Canberra Game Plus, Nicola, has done for me. Some like the latest one she sent me was of parrots saying, "What do you think of this?" Cockatoos. What do you think of this? I've still got to fix some things up, and I thought she'd sent me a photo.
It is a good picture. I think it's the icon on Tabletopia for this game.
Yeah, it is. I snipped the front one out. I mean, the Tassie Devil and the Echidna are really good as well, but just the dimensions of the image they wanted, it suited the portrait of the parrot rather than the landscape of the other animals.
They're all very
so
good. Yeah, well, if people want to join the Game Plus Discord as well, Game Plus, GamePlus.com.au/flex takes you to the sort of cheaper, flexible membership that Sean's talking about. And wherever you are in the world, and if you're in lockdown or if you're able to get into a space in our Canberra, Adelaide, or Sydney spaces, then that's a good way to connect with other developers as well. Cool.
Yeah, and especially in lockdown, I will say that just jumping on the Wednesday morning chats, I haven't been able to make the Friday afternoon ones, but just the Wednesday morning chat to people about anything and everything. It doesn't have to be games related, just lets you see some people and talk to people, which is good.
Catching up, social connection of some sort. Well, I've really enjoyed this game also for that. I miss doing the playtest with you at the cafe, so at Game Plus. So
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sean. That was great.
Okay, catch you later.
All right, see ya. Bye.
These are the voyages of the human family, boldly exploring the unknown. Ever since the caveman era, we have been using art and science to better ourselves and our lives. We still do. While there are many facets that impact our lives, art and science have always had a unique relationship. They work both hand in hand to quench our thirst for curiosity. When we are playing games, watching a movie, or even painting, we are discovering about ourselves and the world around us. It's much more than just entertainment. On the other hand, when we are experimenting, solving an equation, or evaluating results, we are finding out much more than just facts and figures. Together, our creative part of our brain and our analytic part of our brain are making sense of our reality and our complex universe. There are many instances where art has inspired science. For example, the visions of science fiction last century are becoming science fact today. Many scientists have indicated that their inspiration was indeed science fiction shows and movies. There are even technologies being developed for practical medical purposes, inspired by virtual reality, a technology from the game industry. For example, the work that Recovery VR is doing is developing a technology that helps with physical rehab, pain management, and mental health therapy. On the other hand, science has always been a great inspiration for music, films, and definitely game development. Imagine where would game development be like without recursive algorithms. For an example of science-inspiring art, watch this wonderful music video by Space Dude that uses cosmic sounds to construct this beautiful music. Art and science do and must work together. As filmmakers and game developers, our primary aim is to entertain and educate. That's what we do at SFC Films by bringing art and science together to bring more positive space films to our screens, where we're inspiring the creation of a united, peaceful, and progressive spacefaring civilization. Thank you so much to Games Plus Fest for this opportunity, for sharing with you my love for both art and science. Live long and prosper.
Well, as Minister for the Arts, I do have the best job in Canberra. It is a delightful job to have, and it's events like this that really bring out why it is such a wonderful job, how it is that we have such a creative group of people here in Canberra, and fostering that sense of the creative industries is just so important. What we have here, fantastic facilities, production studios, screening rooms, construction workshops, editing suites, sound recording studio, as well as offices and hot desks. All of these are possible only because of the generosity of John and Vicky DeMargherita.
The creation of Film Plus was really a labour of love by a whole bunch of people, community passionate filmmakers and some educators.
For an industry that relies so heavily on collaboration, speaking from personal experience, we tend as freelancers to work alone, and it can be lonely and somewhat uninspiring and an uncreative existence. That is why Film Plus is so important. It really marks an important milestone in the professional and creative development of Canberra's screen industry. A place where anyone can have a home, where we can gather to collaborate, share ideas, make content, listen, argue, support each other, give feedback, and even check in and ask, "Are you okay?"
Hi, I'm Olivia Harris from Game Plus Sydney. I'm a community manager, and today I'll be talking to Claire Harris from Innovate Communicate. She was originally going to be joining us on National Science Week to do a BrainBots workshop. Instead, today she'll be joining us to discuss the industry as a whole. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Liv. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Oh yeah, good. Not too bad over here in sunny Canberra.
No. It sounds lovely. So welcome to Game Plus Fest, Claire. Why don't you tell us a bit about what you do and who you are?
Thanks for having me. So I run a business called Innovate Communicate, and I work with organisations and people in STEM, so science, tech, engineering, maths, and I help them with their communication and their marketing. So I only work with scientists, engineers, and really switched on, passionate people.
Sounds like a group of very smart people.
Yep, a great group of people. I started off my career actually in science myself, and then I just became more interested in how STEM is used by people to make decisions with policy, for example, or how we can make better change in our society. So I got more interested in what people do with STEM and scientific information. So that's why I got into communication and marketing.
Yeah, well, absolutely. There's a disconnect between the science industry and those that are in the media industry as a whole. So I think this is an absolutely fantastic bridge for you to connect, especially in the Australian industry.
Thanks.
Originally in National Science Week, you were going to be doing a BrainBots workshop. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, yes. So my contribution for this year, BraveBots. What the heck is a BraveBot, right? So basically, it starts a few years ago. I met an artist in the US who had this concept of this idea of a robot who followed you around and gave you compliments and told you how great you were every day. So this artist, I met him, and he came up with this idea of creating little bots, so little robots on a domino. So just basically on a domino. And he would sort of create them, they were beautiful. He was an artist, make these beautiful things. And these bots would have power to create joy or bravery or love or whatever. So he created these things and he would give them away to people. And he basically then encouraged people all around the world to do the same thing and to make bots. So last year I was running some community workshops in Canberra, and I wanted to have something that could demonstrate this idea of craft for purpose. So rather than, encouraging kids or families to sort of just create a painting and then, it may or may not go in the bin, I thought, how about we sort of talk about this idea of creating with purpose? So you're doing something for somebody else and you're creating an impact in some way. So I came up with the idea of running these BraveBot workshops to create bots for people in hospital here in Canberra. And so I basically tested it. I went to the community and I said, who wants to participate in this and create a BraveBot? And along the way, as I was designing the workshops, I also thought, I'm not so sure about the dominoes because obviously, they're a chunk of plastic, and I wanted to actually create it on a more environmental piece. So basically I've been running those workshops here in Canberra last year in 2020. And then for National Science Week, I was running the same sort of thing, but with more discussion and more exploration of sort of the STEM angles associated with the bots.
Oh, wow, that's really great. So you touched on the environmental aspect there with the dominoes.
Yeah.
What would you say is the problem with normal plastics in Australia?
Well, I think a lot of people who are watching this and a lot of the kids that I've talked to as I've run these workshops, everybody is very switched on these days about the problems with plastics and some of the products that we manufacture and, what we use to manufacture things. So I guess traditional plastic is made from petrochemical polymers and things like that. So it's made from things that don't break down, which means that we end up with a lot of landfill problems and, things in our environment and in our homes that sort of can't easily be recycled. And so, so I think most kids I talk to, have a real affinity for that and they understand recycling, which is really great. And so my approach to dealing with this plastic issue was actually to look at manufacturing the bots with a bioplastic. So these bot tiles that I get made are made with a 3D printer. So they've all got different hashtags on them. So I actually do have a limited edition Science Week hashtag bot tile, but they're made out of a bioplastic. So basically that just means that it's made from plants, so it breaks down. And I always like to talk about these bioplastics because many people who have had surgery may actually have bioplastics in their body because they will often create the screws and staples and other things to put you back together with a bioplastic, which is harmless to the body and sort of breaks down over time when your natural bone healing sort of commences and things like that. So bioplastics are pretty amazing things.
Yeah, wow. I myself wear a prosthetic, so I'll have to ask about that next time I get a new fitting.
Yeah, righty-o. Yes. And they 3D print all sorts of medical devices and things these days as well.
Yeah, it's a fascinating industry to just watch. Going back to your BraveBot workshop, you also mentioned the connection between making something through craft and art. How do you feel How important do you feel that connection is through learning with science?
Well, I think that art and science are actually completely linked, because to work in STEM, you need to be curious about the world around you. You need to ask lots of questions. And artists are also asking questions, and they're curious, and they're trying to understand the world around them. So an artist is engaging and thinking and questioning, and so are people in STEM. And I also think that art is a really great way into STEM, because art is great for everything. You know, we love to look at pictures, we love to watch movies, we love to, listen to music. It can change how we feel, all of these things. So I think that art and creative expressions of things is a really great way to explain, whether it's a learning activity in STEM, or whether it's just, getting someone interested to kind of explore that world. I think they're really great collaborators, science and art.
Yeah, I agree. So in your work, how involved are robots? Or is BraveBots just a new medium for you to discuss STEM and art?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really work with robots. I'm just constantly amazed with what, what's in development, so how the technology is developing. And I think it was interesting sort of, examining myself as I worked more and more with these BraveBot workshops, and I was pulling together content to talk to, families, kids, teens, adults about robots and things like that. I became more interested in robots, right? So, so I started to kind of gather, I started to look at what books are out there for different ages, and I realized that, kids love robots. They're so captivated by this idea of something that can do something for you. And, it's a great way into technology. So I actually started to sort of explore this more. And I found this fantastic book as well, which basically just, it's called We Robot, the robots that already rule our world. And it just talks about where robots show up already and where the technology is going. And it really is quite incredible. So yeah, I don't use robots. I'm just thinking, I don't think I have any clients at the moment that are in robotics, but through my career, I've just seen the application of different robots, whether it's, robots in the field in agriculture, or, drones, things like that, or, the speaking robots and things like that. And obviously artificial intelligence and AI is becoming more and more prevalent everywhere, including in communication and marketing.
Oh, absolutely. So you touched before about how you used to work in science. What is your background and experience in the STEM industry?
Well, I have an environmental science degree, so I started off working in environmental science in mainly fisheries and water quality research. And then more sort of slowly over time, I got more interested in the projects with people. And so I did some communication study as well. So I actually studied a postgraduate diploma in communication, specializing in science communication, because I don't want to do law communication or tax. Those things are just not for me.
It sounds very complicated.
Yeah, and I guess as I've had jobs, I've worked in government and cooperative research centres and universities, and I've worked in Australia and in the UK as well. And then, I left all of that behind to start my own business. I've had a couple of businesses in the last few years. I left 5 years ago.
Yeah, and since then you were the founder and the director of Innovate Communicate, which is a small business you run primarily to help bridge the gap in communications for science and STEM-related work, which is fascinating, I have to say. And as a woman myself, I'm very inspired by people like you who would take the step out of what is a comfortable, probably a comfortable career into a new and unexplored sector such as this. And How hard has it been for a woman like yourself to find a place for yourself in STEM?
I've been very lucky to have some great mentors through my earlier career. And I guess now being I am a woman in STEM, if you like, but I'm a little bit removed now. So I'm not at that inner core of working in STEM as a scientist or an engineer, for example, or working in tech. So I'm that next step out. And I guess I see that, well, working in business is a whole other ball game, and it's very, very much, a personal development journey. You really realize whether you're good at sales and whether you are good at, managing your accounts and all of the other things that are, how do you set the strategic objectives for your business and all of that. So there's a lot to being in business, but I really enjoy the challenge. I think for women in STEM, there are a lot of challenges, unfortunately, and it is an area that I'm quite passionate about. So I do work to, raise awareness of women in science and art as well. But, there are a lot of reports that have been done lately that talk about this issue in Australia. And I think, basically some of the statistics, for example, is that only 12% of STEM academics at the professorial level are women, and only 27% of STEM qualified people in the private sector are women. So we have a lot more women graduating from undergraduate degrees in STEM, but they're leaving the field, unfortunately. And so anyone who's interested in this, I would recommend having a read of the STEM Women in STEM Decadal Plan, because it outlines sort of all of the, the kind of issues. But I guess, there are, there's a lot of things going on in the environment. But my key message, I guess, for parents and for kids themselves, if you're interested in STEM, just, find somebody else that can help you with that interest in STEM. And for parents, please don't say that STEM is hard, because, a lot of the best things in life come with a challenge. And actually, to a child that's interested in STEM or has those skills or, is a good problem solver, it's not going to be hard for them. They will find their way. And unfortunately, sometimes parents can sort of be a little bit intimidated by STEM, and so say things to their kids that then make their kids worry that, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that because it sounds hard, or, my mum's scared of it or my dad's scared of it, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. So I think there's lots of opportunities these days to sort of tackle, whether it's getting the skills. So things like the Girl Geek Academy for young women, Code Like a Girl, those sorts of things. There's lots of organisations out there running programs for kids in STEM, including, through National Science Week, there are a lot of examples that you can have a look at on the website. And I think, like, as we go through the people's careers, being really aware of how workplaces are set up. So what are the policies that help with equity? So accessibility to, things like leave and professional development and other things. And just being really aware of stereotypes and bias and things like that, because, ultimately that stuff really is deeply ingrained in a lot of places. And so we need to learn how to challenge that. And by showcasing diversity within STEM, that's a really great way forward. So whether it's, women, men, young, old, non-binary, people from all different backgrounds, everything, we can all be part of STEM, and it's really important to Australia. So every organisation in Australia and every industry needs people with STEM skills and people that are passionate.
Yeah, that's wonderfully said and packed with information. I'm sure that every parent listening now is furiously writing down some of those links to resources, which we will try and post a few more of those through social media, through the Science Week as well. So you mentioned Australia in STEM and how women's statistics are quite low, but overall, why is it important for Australia to invest into the future of STEM?
Well, I would say as a general statement that we have a lot of issues that we need to resolve. We have a lot of unanswered questions to build the society that we want to build. And Australia definitely needs to transition from some of the industries that we have based our economy on in the past. So, there's great opportunities to move to, renewable resources, for example. And basically, if you have a look at the statistics around STEM skills and things like that, they're in high demand. And I can share, some more stats, but basically, STEM occupations, the number of people employed in STEM occupations is growing at twice the rate as other occupations. It's just a growing area. So we need to harness it.
Yeah, I think Australia is really falling behind in this regard, and if we can encourage more people to get into the industry, especially at a young age, hopefully this country will be able to get back on track in terms of science and funding.
Yep.
It'd be wonderful to see Australia build up as a technological power in the world instead of a coal distributor.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, one great example is looking at Canva, which is a tech company out of Australia, which was just recently valued at, whatever it was, 40 plus billion. I don't know what it was, but, that's an Australian company. So we have a really enthusiastic tech sector as well. And I think supporting them further is, we can play on the big stage, even though we're a very small country.
So thank you so much for your time. How can people get more involved with you and your program?
So I'm hoping to run some more BraveBot workshops when we can come together face-to-face again, hopefully very soon after the COVID pandemic resolves itself. But the best place to check out what's happening next is the Innovate Communicate website. So that's innovatecommunicate.com. And then, a social media. So I post not as often as I should, but on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
I don't think anyone posts as much as they should these days.
Yeah.
Well, it's been wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Liv. Great to talk to you, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of Game Plus Fest.
Thank you very much. See ya.
Okay, well, that brings Game Plus Fest to a close. We'll wrap up. It's been a really fun time. Lots of games, lots of cool STEM discussions. I've certainly learned some things. It's been really interesting and a pleasure to chat with you all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to the Australian government and Inspiring Australia for supporting this event. Thanks to all our speakers and everybody involved in putting this together. Thank you in particular to my colleagues Liv and Ash. Couldn't have done this without you. Thank you to everyone watching here today. With the prizes, we'll be contacting the winners and sending those out once we're back in the office. Most of the people you heard from today are Game Plus members and Film Plus members, and we're all there together on Discord online for our members exclusive Discord chatting. So we have social events there, we share knowledge, there are contract opportunities. Wherever you are, if you'd like to join, gameplus.com.au/flex is a great way to get involved cheap, and we've got a deal today that makes your first month free. You can sign up anytime till October, and it's just month-to-month payments as well, so you're not locked in at all if you want to try for a month and then head out. If restrictions allow it in your area and you're keen to get involved in Game Plus physically, then our dedicated desks might be for you. We've got a discount here for people attending Game Plus Fest as well, so check that out. Drop us a line with any questions you have, and we'd be happy to give you a tour of our physical spaces. You'd still have access to that national online network through Discord as well. And if you're interested in an office, we have those available in our Canberra, Adelaide and Sydney spaces as well. So we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us for Game Plus Fest. It's been a pleasure to speak with everyone today, and it's been a really fun event. So thank you for letting us put this on for you. We really enjoy spending our time in the games and the creative and film and STEM industries. Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to drop us a line about anything else, you can reach out to us at gameplus.com.au, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for attending Game Plus Fest Online. We'll see you soon.